Mirror, mirror on the wall, who the realest of them all? Dang, huh?
Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Amira, and today you and I are going to be talking about Ethiopia. So I originally went to Ethiopia 4 times in total already. The first time I went to Ethiopia was in 2010, and then I went in 2012, and then I went in 2015, and then lastly I went last year in 2019 for an internship program with Nihid. The first time I went to Ethiopia was in 2010 when I transitioned between high school and college. I took a gap year, and so my mom was like, if you're not going to school, we might as well just go to Ethiopia. So we went to Ethiopia, and it was like pretty much an amazing trip, just because it was the first time I got to know a lot of my family. I always grew up hearing names, but I never really had pictures or knew who was associated with who on both my mom and dad's side. And so 2010 was kind of like the opener of like my love with Ethiopia. So in 2010, I went with my mom, my sister, and my nephew, and we had an amazing time. We seen a lot of the country. We seen Shire, Aksum, Adwa, Wooro, Gondar, Humara, Maikadra, Addis. It was pretty cool. There were some things I hated about Ethiopia, and there was obviously some things that I loved about Ethiopia. So let's start with the things that I loved about Ethiopia. So I really loved the fact that I got to know a lot of my family members. I got to know like 3-4 generations of family that I would never have gotten introduced to if I never actually visited. I did meet all of my aunts and uncles, or most of my aunts and uncles on both sides. I traveled most of the north of the country, which was great. I learned a lot about the culture, a lot of things that I didn't know, and I think I would say that my Tigrinya got a little bit better. One thing about the culture was that there was a huge cultural clash, right? Even in like the conversations that we would have, but at least I could travel the northern region of Ethiopia without having like somebody hold my hand throughout the entire experience, which was pretty nice. So when I went with my mom, it was pretty great because like she used the excuse that like we needed to go into a hotel, just like for our like essential hygiene and like making sure we're taken care of and we feel comfortable, right? And then the second time I went to Ethiopia in 2012, I went by myself, and it was a totally different experience. Like I truly hated Ethiopia in 2012. If that was my first trip, I probably would never ever want to be associated with being Ethiopian, or Ethiopia as a whole. And so like everybody kind of like, for the most part, most people treated me fairly okay, but there was a lot of people that treated me really bad just because they had the assumption that I was American. And so like I was kind of like bougie, or I was like very like spoiled, and I didn't know how to like kind of fend for myself, or whatever the case may be. And so like that was kind of like annoying and frustrating, and like it really did get under my skin because I was there for a while. After visiting Ethiopia several times, I realized that like our parents raised us Habesha diaspora low-key way better than like the Ethiopians in Ethiopia, just because like they don't have the same like mannerism as like our parents' generation. And when our parents brought us here, that's the only thing they knew, so they kind of taught us exactly what they knew, where over there they kind of don't have this in a I would expect them to have, right? Okay, so the 3 times that I went to Ethiopia, I feel like I experienced a good Ethiopia, but like it wasn't the best experience that I could have had going to Ethiopia. Like I just feel like I spent hundreds and thousands of dollars getting to Ethiopia, and like trying to like hang out with family that I hadn't seen in 2-3 years. And like a lot of times, one, they're ungrateful, or they just expect things from you, and they don't really care for your existence or for your actual visit, which was kind of annoying. Another thing I didn't like was just like the fact that like you were just stuck going to people's house. Like it was just the most annoying thing in the world. Like I don't know how much Darawet and like Bunna I had. Like everybody's house that I go to, you have to sit down and eat a whole meal, to sit down and drink 3 rounds of coffee. And so like it was just kind of annoying in that sense, because like it's rude not to, especially if you were invited. But at the same time, like I've spent all this money to go there, and I want to see parts of the land, right? Like I want to see the history of Ethiopia, and so like that was unfair. The best part of going to Ethiopia was if I was by myself, was going with my dad or like meeting up with my dad, because like he kind of didn't care and he would just be out. Like he's just like, I got things to do, I'm leaving. And so I would a lot of times like say, I'll meet you at so-and-so's house, and then we would sit and we wouldn't even wait for the coffee to be poured, and we'd be like, okay, we gotta go, bye. And like he took me to like the castle of Gundar, and we did like the whole tourism thing and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. One thing that I really hate about Ethiopia is the bathroom situation, and I can't believe that I'm gonna be discussing bathrooms on YouTube, but we are gonna have this conversation, okay? So with the bathroom situation, I have several stories where like it just doesn't turn out good, right? Like I just would train my body. Like after the first time going to Ethiopia, we stayed in hotels, which was great. So like we had access to a toilet whenever we wanted and a shower whenever we wanted, even though sometimes the water didn't work. That's a whole different story. But at least we had access to these things, right? But the second and third time I went to Ethiopia, we didn't always have access to these things, and it was just a pain in the rear. Like it was just such a like an anxiety moment, right? Because like every time I would go to somebody's house and they're just like, are you gonna sleep over? Are you gonna hang out for a long time? I would literally have to like whisper to them like, what is your bathroom situation? Because like I can't stay the night here and like just not use the bathroom for the next 24 hours. And so like they would all laugh, but like it was just a real problem for me. Like I can't just use their bathroom. One of the funniest experiences that I had was when I went in 2012 by myself. I arrived in Shire at my aunt's house, and I told her like immediately, like that's the first thing that I was thinking was I need to rent out a hotel, right? And it wasn't like I need to rent out a hotel because I need to sleep there. Like I really just don't care where I sleep, but I need the bathroom. Like I need an actual proper like American bathroom or the closest thing to it, right? And so then she's just like, no, you have to stay with us and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, I don't mind sleeping here. However, I need a bathroom. And so she was just like, no, you're gonna stay here and we're gonna figure it out. And I was like, okay. And so then I'm like in the house the whole day, just like contemplating how I'm gonna emphasize to her that like I need a bathroom. And she's outside of like the living room, and the whole day she was outside contemplating how she's gonna fix this problem for me, which neither one of us knew, right? And so she ended up creating a bathroom for me using like an old fornella, which is like what they use to like put charcoal and to cook food in. So she had one of the old ones that she doesn't use anymore, and she got like a cardboard box and like put a hole through it, right? And so she was just like, come here. And then I went outside and she was like, you could use this. I know your knees don't hurt, like work and it doesn't bend, but you could use this, right? And I was just like and I was just like, that's not the problem. Like the problem is like the room is dark. Like I can't use the bathroom in a dark room. Like it's like they have light, but it's very dim, that like you're pretty much in the dark. And a lot of times they have like some type of animal in there with you. So like there's a chicken in there or something. And like I just can't do it. I can't do it. And like it's just dirty in there in most places. And I was just like, yeah, no, I can't. I'm sorry. And we just both started laughing. And she's like, she would always lecture me like, oh, you need to get used to this type of lifestyle, because how about if one day you have an emergency and stuff? And I was just like, listen, in the best Sagruna that I possibly could, I told her, in America, if you use a bathroom in the streets, you get arrested. Like that's just as simple as it gets. So like we can't have this happening in America. We have bathrooms everywhere, restaurants, whatever. And so we just always laughed. And then we would go to my dad's house, and my dad luckily had like 2 bathrooms. He had like the Ethiopian style bathroom, and he also had like the American style bathroom. Another thing that I really hate about Ethiopia is that there's just like bugs everywhere, and I'm like anti-bug. There were bugs everywhere. Like honestly, the first time I ever seen a cockroach in real life was in Ethiopia, and I was freaking out because my dad was just mad, like normal. He was just like, yeah, that's just a cockroach. Like, why are you acting like you never seen one? I was like, I've never seen one. Like, our house is clean. And like, so my dad has a farm in Ethiopia. And so we would go, he would force us to go, right? Which was like a whole different ordeal when it comes down to the bathroom. Like, I just wouldn't use the bathroom until I got to the next city. Originally, I technically never got my second shots when I went to Ethiopia the second time. And so I like told my mom like, hey, I'm going to see Papa and stuff over the phone. And I told her, please tell him he cannot take me to the farm. Like, please, right? And this is like when I was on my way to Gundar to meet up with him. And she was like, okay. And so she talked to him on the phone and she was like, she didn't get her shots. Make sure you don't take her there. Blah, 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 right? And he was like, okay, right? And like this dude just played both of us and he just took us to the farm. Or he just took me to the farm with my aunt. And so we go to the farm and I'm just like, all right, Baba, I'm gonna go to the farm, but the only way I'm gonna go to the farm is if you promise that we're gonna be there for 1 day and 1 night. That's it. Like the next day we gotta wrap it up and go to this next city, right? Which is Amira. And he was like, okay. And I was like, even when we go to Amira, we're gonna go to like a certain person's house because like I know that they have like a really, really, really clean bathroom. And so he said, okay, like this was our pact. And so we get there, and when we get there, this kid goes, yeah, we have to rest for a day, and then tomorrow we go and see the actual farm. And I was just like, I'm gonna die here, like I'm just gonna die. And like, you know, it's really hard to be like, Baba, I'm not gonna use the bathroom until I get to a city. So I'm just sitting there like going through the struggle on my own, and I'm just like not having it. Like their bathroom is so disgusting, and I was just like, I cannot do it. And it's like a farm where like there's no electricity past sunset, right? And so on top of that, there's like this whole like fear of bugs, right? I have a fear of anything that's living that's not human. Like I just can't do it. And so I'm like, Baba, there's so many bugs, like we just have to go, like why are we even here and stuff like that. And he's just like, no, like it's okay, like why are you acting so like blah blah blah. And I was just like, I'm not acting, like this is like literally not my life. I've never lived like outside of like a house or an apartment and stuff. And he's just like, no, it's okay, da da da. And like my dad's always like, he grew up on the farm, like that was his hustle like ever since like childhood. And so I was just like, okay, fine. I like didn't drink water the whole day. I kept my wudu the whole day. And then finally, because there's no lights after sunset, when Maghrib comes in, you pray both Maghrib and Isha together, right? And so like we're sitting there and we're praying, and like, you know, like we're in the middle of prayer, and I'm looking down and like all I see is this frog that comes out of nowhere and like stops in front of me, right? And I just started freaking out internally, and I was just like, God, I love you and we homies, but I'm not going down if this frog does not leave, right? Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. And so then, alhamdulillah, the frog left, because I was really going to just break my prayer, like, please God forgive me, but I was going to do that, right? That was my intention. Alhamdulillah, the frog left, and then we finished prayer. Like my aunt says, oh, thank God she didn't see that. And I was like, no, I seen that. Like, and I was just not gonna go down. Like, I was just not gonna do that, you know? And like, then we're like getting ready for bed. And my dad is like, yeah, like you could just go anywhere in the bushes and just use a bathroom. And I just looked at this guy and I was just like, Baba, I just seen a frog. Like, what makes you think I'm gonna go to a bush and use a bathroom? Like, I can't do that. Like, this is just insane. And so like, I just went to sleep with like a full bladder. That was just like what it was. And then the next day, like I made sure we hurried it up, seen the farm, and just went straight back to the city. And then my dad had the nerve to take me to some random person's house. I was tight. I was so tight. Because I couldn't use their bathroom either. So I didn't use the bathroom until the next day when we got to Shire. And I was just dead. Like after that, I was like sick for like almost a week. And I just couldn't do it. I was like, after that, I was just like, I'm never doing this again. It's really the bugs and the using the bathroom that was like the biggest flaw of like going to Ethiopia. Like I really just can't handle it. But I really loved and enjoyed traveling throughout the northern region and some of the Amhara region. I really love the fact that like I got to meet a lot of my family members. And like some of my favorite people in the world are in Ethiopia, and like a lot of them are truly genuine, and they give you so much, which was like really amazing. And so those are my three trips to Ethiopia. My fourth trip to Ethiopia was actually with a program called Nihid. It's a really amazing program, and I want to do a separate video on that just because it's a little bit lengthier and I want to talk about all the things that we did. I'm a data's person, so I'm all about numbers. So like the only way I would know what type of content you would like is if you tell me through like likes and comments, etc., etc. But until then, I will see you in the next video, inshallah. Remember to always stay human, always stay humble.